Okay, so once again, good morning to all of you. Welcome to the fourth day of Atal FDP on machine learning. And as per the schedule, as you can see on the screen, so we have again three sessions scheduled tomorrow. In the first session, we'll see the CNN for text classification. And the expert for that, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Roy, is connected with us. In the second session, we'll see the swarm intelligence in machine learning. And in third session, again, we'll have the hands-on. Okay, and in hands-on, again, it will be covered, the session will be engaged by Dr. Roy, and he will cover the neural networks, initially how to build the neural networks model, and later how to build the CNN model for text. Okay, so before we begin the session, I would like to introduce our expert to all of you, and then we will begin with the session. Okay, so let me introduce our expert, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Roy. He received the BTech degree in computer science. Excuse me. Yeah, computer science and engineering and MTech degree in information technology in 2011 and 15 respectively. And the PhD in computer science and engineering from the National Institute of Technology, Patna in 2018. He received a certificate of excellence for securing a top rank in the MTech course. He is currently an assistant professor with the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Surat. His area of specialization straddles across question answering, text mining, and information retrieval, and wireless sensor networks. He has published articles in different journals, including IJIM, Neural Processing Letters, Neural Computing and Application, Future Generation Computer Systems, IEEE Access, and others. He has also published the conference proceedings in various international conferences. So with this, I'd like to welcome our expert, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Roy, and I would ask him to take over the session.
Thank you, Sunil, for introducing me.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So, as my name is already introduced to you, I am Pradeep Kumar Roy from IIIT Surat. So today we'll see a few highlights of text classification using the CNN, convolutional neural network. So be with me, and during the presentation, if any time you feel that you have any doubt, you are free to unmute and you can ask the questions. Because I'm not able to see the chat window, you are allowed to unmute yourself and you can ask the questions if you have. Otherwise, at the end of the presentation, we have a separate question answering session as well. So if you have any questions, your questions is always welcome. So I'm sharing my window just a minute. Okay, can anyone please confirm whether the PPT is visible or not?
Oh, till now it is not visible. Yeah, now it is coming. Yes, now it is visible. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, so today we'll see that CNN, the convolution neural network, how the convolution neural network especially classify the text into the different classes or three different classes. So this is the first outline of today's talk. First we introduce, then we have some application of that classification. Then the text representation using the bag of words model. That is you can say initial model we have, how to represent a text using the bag of words. Then we will introduce what is convolution neural network. Then how a sentence, or you can say a message, can be represented using the different form other than the bag of words. Then what are the convolution operation? Then how the model is evaluated? What are the different metrics we have to evaluate? And finally, we'll see some case study using the Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab. So these are the few outlines that we'll discuss in today's lecture. First of all, what is classification? It is a process of categorization. You know, everyone knows what is classification. If you have any data, then you have to classify into the required classes. So suppose data maybe fall into 2 class, 3 class, 4 class, or multiple classes even. So sometimes we have binary class, or sometimes we have many classes. So it is a classification, maybe a binary classification or multi-class classification. But it is fall under the supervised learning, where you have some labels, predefined labels. So it says that the process in which objects are recognized, differentiated, and understood with the mean of some features. So in text classification is actually the process of categorizing text into organized group or class. That class is predefined. So understanding the audience, some examples like what is the sentiment of the audience from the social media. Suppose you have a lots of data that is floated over the social media on a particular topic. For example, suppose a movie is released on a particular day, and immediately on social media there are many tweets. Suppose one of the social media is Twitter. Many tweets are floated from the worldwide users regarding that movie, just like a review. So whether this movie is really address some message, some content is valid or not valid, is watchable or not watchable, people are expressing their opinion. So it can be categorized. So whether this is a good movie or bad movie, it's a watchable or not watchable. Many classes are there. Similarly, we have another application like detecting the spam and not a spam email. It's a very old topic. Everyone understood what is a spam, what is non-spam. So if you have the suppose Gmail account, many emails are automatically separated in the spam categories, if they are, and few spam categories mail are still fall under the main email. That is actually not should be it should not be fall under the main categories, but still that is called the actually misclassification, and we have that's why this research is still going on. What is a correct model, and what may be a good feature extraction process that exactly identify this email maybe a spam or not a spam. So apart from the emails, there is a SMS also. We all are using the mobile phones, and every day a lot of messages regarding the promotion or something else are received on our mobile phone from different sources. That also need to be restricted. Means if you don't want to see such SMS on your mobile phone, how it can be handled. So researches on finding or detecting the mobile SMS spam is also ongoing. It's not like the model is developed and it is something like it is 100% correctly detected the spam messages. So the researches on spam email, spam messages is still going on. Next, we have auto tagging of customer queries. So many places, many platforms are offering to the customer to post your doubt or to post your questions. Now, if there is an suppose we are a customer and we post some queries, that queries may fall some specialized department that may not fall universal. So suppose I want to post a question regarding a product quality, like how I'm talking about the e-commerce. Suppose e-commerce is offering to post your questions if you have. Now these questions may be related to the if you talk about the mobile phone, then if a person looking for how the battery is working, means what is the battery backup of this particular mobile phone. This company is claiming that it's a 6000 mAh battery. Then user must be, or buyer must be expecting a 2-day or 3-day battery backup. But what actually it is really providing or not providing. So consumer is posting their questions. Now it's a system task that they have to tag. This question is received by which department. This is, you can say, auto tagging. Not only this one, Facebook also, suppose you are posting any photo on your Facebook, immediately they are suggesting some tags to the faces. How these tags are suggested to the users? Obviously, based on the predefined names. They are not suggesting anything else apart from the names that is already defined by you or the member of your friend itself. Means a photo is tagged or photo caption is suggested only such names that is already exist. But it is auto tagging. Sometimes it automatically can identify this person's name is this one and the tag. This is another one. Then we have the categorization of news article into the predefined group, you can say. The news articles also means it may be the fall under the sports, it may be falls under the movies, and there are various the politics and many categories we have. So these are the few areas where the text classification is widely used. And we have a machine learning approach, we have the deep learning approach. Everything is researchers are trying to their level best to propose something that gives the best and best result. So these are the one example. Suppose this is I have taken one images from the net, and this is the one example of text classification that you have many articles, and you have to categorize these articles into different categories. So article maybe belongs to the technology, maybe the sports, maybe the entertainments, and there are many more. So if you have whatever the classes or categories you have, and a new article came, you have to check this article is going to belongs to the which class, and that is need to be separated or categorized. Now, the model, any model or machine, either it's a machine learning or deep learning, they are not going to do any operation with the text directly. They need some representation. So suppose you have a text like, if you want to do a sentiment analysis or suppose any text classification then also you have only what? The input is user text. And text is written in some characters, a sequence of characters, some words like a very good movie. Then this is not going to be read by the system directly. You have to represent into some format. So text represented can be a bag of word, maybe a TF-IDF, maybe the manual feature engineering, and so on. So there are many ways we can represent the text. One of the representation is shown here, that is a bag of words. What is bag of words? So suppose we have a data set, and that data set contains thousands of rows. Suppose we are talking about the SMS data set. In SMS dataset, we have some spam SMS and some non-spam SMS. Only two classes are there. And the dataset contains, suppose 10,000 rows. In 10,000 rows, obviously 10,000 SMS we have. Among those, few are spam and few are non-spam. The bag of words says that you have to identify, first of all, how many unique words are there in the complete data. How many unique words? Because few words may be present in different messages, like the good. Good is a common word that may be present in multiple messages, and we cannot treat it as individually. So you have to identify how many total unique words, means the words that is present in different messages we are going to count as a one, and this is the unique word. So suppose we have thousands of 100k columns, means a number of unique words is 100k. We are assuming that we have 1 lakh unique words. Then bag of words representation says that if you want to represent a single word into this method, then you have to represent in the number of unique words is treated as the number of columns, and the single words is represented, means that place is you have to highlight it by 1 and remaining all are zeros. Means you have to identify, since your vocabulary, your bag of words contain all unique words of the complete message. Now if you are reading the first message, in that first message only one word is there, very, nothing else. Then how to represent that message into the vector format? We have to represent all are initially, means all field are 0, only the place where this very word are located, we have to replace 0 by 1. And other all remaining columns filled with the 0 only. So this is the representation of word vary. Second, if you are second message, suppose only good is a this word is present there in a message. May possible that you receive a message having only good. It may possible. So a single word message is there. Okay, good. And we want to watch the movie. So good is again represented in the same way. We have to identify in which place in our complete 1 lakh columns this particular good word is present. And once it is identified, that columns is replaced by 1. That means this word is present in the message and remaining words are filled with the 0. This is a single words representation as I am showing here. Suppose we have more than one words. Suppose we have more than one word like the very good movie. Like very good movie. Then what we have to do? Again, we have to check where the word very, the word good, the word movie is present in our complete vocabulary, or you can say the complete bag of words. And accordingly, the place where this good is present, you have to make 1. The place where movie is present, we have to make 1. And the place where the word very is present, we have to make 1. Now, what is the problem? If you see clearly, the word is represented, but out of 1 lakh column, a single message is, there is no problem with the message. It's a very good movie. Someone is texted to you. It's a very good movie. You can watch. Suppose 5 to 6 words in a message, or sometimes 10 words is there, or suppose 15 or 20 words is there. None of the messages contain more than 10 or 20 or 30 words. So in a row of 1 lakh, in a row where 1 lakh column is there, only maximum 30 words become 30 places become 1 and remaining all are become 0. So this is a very sparse representation, and you can say it's what is this? All are zeros only. So obviously it is not a good representation. Moreover, not only this problem, another problem what we have, if you shuffle the word position, then also the representation of this message is remains same. There is no change in the representation. What is the position of a particular word in a message, that is not going to taken care in this representation. It always remains same. If you have 10 words in your message, if you shuffle this all 10 words, and if you go through the bag of word representation, it remains same, because the column 0, column 1, column 2, column 3 is fixed for different words. It is not going to change with the message. It is fixed. And based on that fixed representation only, we have to identify a vector representation of our message. So message 1, message 2, message 3, every message is going to be represented in the same format. Now, if message 3 having 10 words, and we are just shuffling the words, and we are getting the new message, but the representation of new message is remain as the previous. That is not going to be changed at all. So this is another problem. So we are lagging somewhere. So this is another problem with the bag of word representation. So here it is. Suppose we have the 3 different words, like the good movie, not a good movie, did not like movie. That's what I said. So you have to identify where is that particular word is present in our that column. In that place is going to replace by 1, and remaining all are remain zeros. So another representation of apart from this bag of words, so bag of word can be represented using the count vector also. So we can see the during the hands-on session what is the problem. But another representation of the same things is using TF-IDF vector, term frequency and inverse document frequency. Term frequency, inverse document frequency. This is another representation of the text into the vector format. For example, we have 2 messages. This is good and awesome, and second message is this is bad. This is bad. Now, if you want to represent this word, this message into the TF-IDF format, what we have to do? First of all, again, the same process. This is remain common. You have to find the vocabulary. You have to find the vocabulary means you have to identify the unique words that is present in the message. You have to identify the unique words that is present in the message. Now, once the unique word is identified, that many columns is going to be present in the representation. Then we have to identify the particular word that is or this. What is the frequency? Term frequency means this particular term is appear how many times in the message divided by how many times it is, how many documents contain this particular term. So term frequency divided by inverse document frequency is give the TF-IDF representation. So a complete detailed overview of this, how this value is coming, how this is coming. Since we have the hands-on session, we'll see more detail during that time. But right now, just see this another representation. Instead of going to bag of words or count vector, we can use the another representation, that is the term frequency. But the problem is remains same. What is the problem? That is the sparseness. Means many places, if your data set is large and if the number of unique words is large, then again many columns are filled with the 0. Only those words, places having some values where that words is present in that message. So suppose in the first message, if you see how many words are there, 5 words. But actually bad is not present in the first message, so that is there. But if you see the second word, only 3 places this is bad, 3 words are there, then remaining 3 words are filled with the 0 in the first table. So this is the problem with the TF-IDF also. We do not have option to avoid this one, because the number of unique words we have to identify, and based on that we have to represent our message. Now what is the another problem? So suppose if the number of unique words is very high, obviously any model, any machine learning model or deep learning model is not built to categorize or to filter or to classify a small set of data. So whenever we are talking about any automated model, any machine learning or deep learning model, we are assuming that the size of the data is huge. And once the size of the data is huge, obviously our unique word, the number of unique words that is present in the complete message may belong to 1 lakh, 2 lakh or 3 lakh and so on. So if you go through the directly DNN, or you can say that deep neural network representation, then what is the problem? What will happen? The input layer is contain the number of all such unique words. Because we don't know the message 1 contain which word, so we cannot escape a single word at the input layer. So input layer contain all unique words. And then we have some hidden layers. The number of hidden layers is obviously more than 1. If you're keeping only 1, this is not called a deep neural network. It's a normal neural network architecture. Then what is the term deep? Only the presence of more number of hidden layers. So input layer contain the number of unique word that is present in the complete data set. Then number of neurons that is present at the hidden layer, that is the user defined. You have to decide how many neurons you want to set at the hidden layer. Finally, we have output layer. So number of hidden layers as well as number of neurons at hidden layer is user specific. You have to decide how many hidden layers you want in your network and how many neurons you want at each hidden layer. So this is the user defined, but input layer is predefined. It is completely related to the number of unique tokens, or you can say unique words that is present in our vocabulary. One simple example I have calculated by assuming that we have a message, number of sample is 10,000, or a small set I have taken, only 10,000 messages I am consuming. And suppose the bag of words means the number of unique words in the complete 10,000 messages is 30,000. We assume that each message contains at least 3 unique words. So this is all assumptions. It may vary. And I am assuming only 10,000 messages. See the scenario, what is happening. So the number of neurons at input layer, I already told it is equal to the size of bag of words. Means we cannot skip a single words of our message. So this is equal to 30,000. Now the weights, actually the parameter or learning parameter of the model is between the input layer to the first hidden layer is equal to 30,000, means the number of input neurons into the number of neurons present at hidden layer. So we assume that 100 neurons I fixed at the first hidden layer. Then the total number of weights become, it is a fully connected layer, means each 30,000 is connected with each neurons of 100 neurons of present at the first layer of hidden layer, means 30,000 into 100. because every neuron is connected with the next layer 100 neurons. From every input is 100 weight is going to be out. So this 100 into 30,000 is going to be the total weight at first layer. That becomes 30 lakh. If there is no calculation mistake, if any calculation mistake, you can just avoid. I think there is no calculation mistake. So it is 30 lakh in current scenario. Now, number of parameters between hidden layer 1 and hidden layer 2. Suppose I took only 100 neuron at hidden layer 2 also, then it become 100 into 100, that means 10,000. I'm skipping here the weight of bias, means 100 bias is also there. I'm avoiding, that is a small number. But as assuming the and minimum how many parameters we have in this network, the number of parameters from hidden layer 2 to output layer, again suppose number of 2 we have, then something we have. So if you calculate the total number of parameter in the current scenario, or you can say bag of word representation, what we have, 30 lakhs plus 10,000, and it's going on. It's a depend upon how many hidden layers we have. So minimum what is it is 30 lakhs. So
Excuse me, sir.
tell me.
Sir, will you please explain the last point, number of parameters from hidden layer to output layer equal to number of neurons at previous layer into? I could not get this point.
Okay, so it's the same things. If you see the current diagram, so number of previous layer, output layer, we have only 1 neurons, and previously we have 3 neurons. So it is again fully connected network. So since we have only 1 neuron at the output layer, so each previous layer 3 neurons, we have single connection to the output layer. So only 3 weights are there. So if you have 10,000 before that the output layer, so 10,000 weights is going to be passed to the next layer. That only is a simple representation. If you see this diagram, I assume that only 3 neurons present before the output layer, then 3 nodes we have, means 3 weights we have between hidden to output layer, hidden layer to output layer. Is it clear?
So, okay, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in this way, we are just assuming a small data set we have, and we are assuming that only 10,000 sample and 30,000 bag of words, and then we have 30 lakh parameter. If you want to train a model with such data set with deep neural network, what problem we will face? See, the number of parameters is used, and to process this, we need a lot of resources. It is not possible to process this data or this network with a 4 GB RAM system. If you start, probably it will not proceed. It will start okay, but it will not proceed. Even though it is proceed, it will take a lot of time to complete a single epoch. Many things is there. Moreover, we are missing some contextual information. As I said, if you shuffle the words order, then also the representation is same. Means we are not able to get what the meaning of the context, because we know very well the same words can be represented in different way, and if it is the word order of the word is changed, the meaning of the message is going to be changed, and these things are not going to taken care with this representation at all. So this is the limitation we have with the bag of word representation, but still these are applicable and these are applied in many cases, and they are giving the good result. We are not claiming that this is not good model. We are not saying like that, but it has some issues that we have to address, we have to study. Then what we have, some alternatives we have to identify, and then we come into the picture convolution neural networks. So basically this network is designed for the image processing, but researchers and in recent past year, it has been seen that this convolution neural network is really giving the promising result with 1D data. 1D means our text-rich representation, where one-dimensional vectors we have. It is also applicable for the mainly designed for the image data, where we have the 2D or 3D data, but it is also working fine with the textual data set. So we'll see how this is going to be work for text data. So convolution, what is the convolution actually? It is a linear operation that involves the multiplication of set of weights with the input. It's much like the normal neural network, whatever we have done. Then it is actually a mathematical function, which means a mathematical operation between two functions. We'll see what is that. And it contains mainly 3 steps. First one is creating the sentence matrix using the some embeddings, then performing the convolution operations, Then we have some pooling operation, and finally it's a dense layer, that is nothing but it's a fully connected layer or deep neural network, you can say. So these are the three main basic steps that is present in our convolution neural network. One of the representation that I have taken from one published article of how the text are represented in CNN. If you see this diagram, in the first column is some matrix are shown where I like this movie very much, and then the rest of it is there. So, and the D is equal to 5. D is equal to 5, nothing but it's a dimension in which a particular word or each word of this message is presented. Like the vocabulary size, you have the vocabulary size 1 lakh. So each word is presented in 1 lakh vector. Similarly, we have here dimension is equal to 5. This is an assumption. We will see the actual scenario. Then we have in second layer some filters, n-gram filters it is, and n may be the 2 gram, 3 gram, 4 gram, 5 gram. And then this n-gram filter is convolved, means they perform some operation with the input that is present at the sentence matrix, and by performing this some operation they got some value, and that is presented in the next third layer. Then finally some features are going to be pulled, and that is passed to the fully connected layer. We'll see one by one what is this. So this, so what I said, instead of presenting the text into bag of word model, we can present or represent the text using the some embedding format, and that embedding really reduce the number of columns that we have actually. So currently we have already a predefined word embedding, that is name is globe. I'll show what is that, in which every word is represented into different dimension like 50, 25, 100 and 200 and 300 and 500 even. So different dimension, a word is represented into different dimension. Some vector means this some embedding are actually developed using the Wikipedia text, some embedding are developed from the Twitter text. So for the different purpose we have different embeddings, that is we have if you want you can develop your own embedding even using the some methods we have for that. So continuous bag of word and skip gram, these two are the word embedding technique that is widely used to develop if you want for your own embedding. Otherwise you can use the pre-trained embedding for the text representation. So here something is represented. So instead of finding a word only whether it is present or not present, it is going to represented using the some vector format, like this word is related, how much related with word 1, word 2, word 3 and so on. So word vary is related how much close to different words in the 300 vocabulary words, or you can say 300 top words, and that is the representation. So here only 3 is there, but you assume that it's a 300, so it's a long vector is there. So 300 columns, and every columns have some values between 0 to 1. Between means it's maybe the negative, maybe the 0, maybe the 0.1, maybe 0.5, maybe 1, but it's not more than 1. So something we have is maybe 0.01, 0.02. If not so close, it's maybe the very small value we have. If suppose what is completely opposite, you may have the different value. So every word is represented into a vector format with some values, not either only 0 or 1. This is a vector representation. Now we do not have only 0 or 1. So, and even instead of going through the 1 lakh column, we limit to 300, or you can say 100, or you can say 50. It's up to you in what dimension you want to present your text. So this is the another way you can represent our text. Now see this, suppose I have a message, do I cast the size of malloc? There is a question, so actually this is a question is, suppose this question is posted on Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange, then how it can be presented into the sentence matrix? How you have to build a sentence matrix, because this text is not going to be processed at all by the model. They need some number format. So this is the embedding layer we have the pre-trained weight. If you see the first block, that is having the number of neurons, again the input contain the number of neurons that is present, and each word is going to be connected with 100 weight or the next layer of neurons. So for each word we have 100 weight. or 100 connection you can say, or 100 weight you can say. For each word of the message, we have 100 weight. So if you're in your message, if you have 10 words, so 10 into 100 is become the size of the matrix. If our message contain only 10 words, then the size of the matrix become 10 into 100, because each word is represented with the vector of 100. But if the same scene with the bag of words, then what will happen? 10 into it's a 1 lakh, not 10 into, it's a 1 lakh. So 10 into 100 is a total weight. If you consider, then it's a 10 into 100, that means 1000. But if you see the same message represented in the bag of words, then it's a 1, because number of columns we have 1 lakh. But we reduce here using the vector representation, or you can say some embedding. We will just limit each word is going to be represented maximum with the help of 10 vectors. So in this way, we have to create a sentence matrix. Now, see this, why this is a better approach. Why this is a better approach. Now, two messages are there, cat sitting there and dog resting here. Two messages are there and both messages are presented 3:3 is there, 3 words and 3. You can assume this is 100, but for example, suppose 3:3, we have some vector representation of this message 1 and message 2. Now, message 1, 3 words are represented into 3:3 format, and second one is also format when we have some value. This is a message representation that we have seen in previous case. For all messages, we have to create this sentence matrix. Now, on this sentence matrix, we have to perform some convolution operation. Convolution operation is going to perform with the help of kernel or filter. So in current example, a 2-gram filter is used. 2-gram filter, the width of the filter is equal to the dimension of your word representation. If you are representing a word into 100 dimension, then your filter width is also 100. It's a predefined, it's a model automatically going to decide what is the size of input matrix. Based on that, the size of the filter is going to be predefined. Now here we have 2-gram filter, and that filter having some values, again similar to the representation of word. Now if you do the simple dot product, simple mathematical operation means 7 into 6. If you we are calculating it's a matrix multiplication. If you calculate 7 into 6 plus 4 into 4 plus 5:5, then again 2 into 2, we have some mathematical operation, and we got the value 0.91, 0.9 with the first matrix. The 2-gram filters convolved with first matrix, and the output is 0.9. Now, same matrix, filters is convolved with lower sentence, that is a dog resting here, and they yielded the value 0.84. Only 2 gram, and first 2 words, that is cat sitting and dog resting. The meaning of these two are almost same. Cat sitting, and you see the outcome of this convolution operation in 0.90. Means this is closer, or you can say it is the same. Means we are able to context of both the words. If the both are same, they are going to produce as a output of convolution operation. We have a detail how this convolution. We are just showing here how much important this representation. If you are using the word embedding to represent your word, and if you are using this convolution operation, you are getting the context of the message, not only the. Otherwise, if it is a one-hot encoding, it is very hard to differentiate sitting and resting. Even though the meaning of both the words are similar, it is tough to identify whether this is same or different, because model will different place we have the sitting and resting word in the complete columns. The sitting having a different place and resting having the different, but that then outcome may be the different. But in case of convolution, we have the almost similar outcome. So that giving the context. So here it is, the same things I have shown in another way. So if you have a complete sentence matrix and you have the 2-gram filters, that filters is going to convolve, and they are going to produce one output for all values, like the previous case. If it is convolved, or 2-gram filter is convolved with the first 2 row, then it is going to be slided down. means one place is going to be slide, and then again they find the new value for the sitting there and resting here. Again we have the second value. So in similar fashion, it is going to be slided until they not reach at the end. So if you see this one, so we have the size of the matrix is n cross d, number of words is n, and number of dimension is d. Similarly, we have 2 cross d, 2 gram filter I am applying. Then the number of output, the number of value that is produced by this matrix multiplication, or you can say this convolution operation, is the number of sentence minus number of size of the filter, means n minus 2 plus 1 into 1. This is the outcome of one filter. But in reality, or while modeling this or developing any model using the CNN, we are not going to use a single filter. We are going to use a multiple filters in order to capture all aspects. We don't want to miss any context of the message, because all are depend on the value, and it may possible that if you are using a single filter, something is going to be missed. But if you repeat the same process in multiple times, it's the same things like if you deal a question, if you derive a concept in a classroom to the student a single time, probably few student is gained. Okay, this is the concept I have to understand. But many of the students may not understand what is going on. What we have to do, we have to repeat the problems. Means we have to re-explain the same questions or the similar questions again. The same things we are doing here, we have to repeat the process with different weight of the filters. So 2 grams only, but we have to repeat multiple times, and we have to find out all possible values. And this value, so this is the second step, means once you have this matrix, that is the question matrix, that is formed using the embeddings, then we have the filters, that is maybe the 2 grams, maybe 3 grams, maybe 4 grams. So depending on the problems, you have to decide what is the size of n. So n gram filter it is, what is the size of n? It is a 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, 4 gram, or unigram even. So what you want and what is going to be the best, you have to decide. We'll see few examples during the hands-on session on this also. So in this way, we have to extract some output features. So again, same things are here. So use 4 different filters. Suppose 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams we have, and we have to perform the convolution operation. Then we have some output. Here is the mathematical operations. So W11 is going to be W11 F11 is a normal matrix multiplication, and then we have the output 1, output 2, and output n. And this process is going to be repeat the number of times as many filters you are going to use. So if only one filter, obviously only one time. If you have n number of filters, it is going to repeat n number of times. Then whatever the outcome we have, that is going to be passed through some activation function. The role of activation function is similarly to process the data, and whatever the data is, whatever the value is calculated from the previous layer, it is not blindly going to be passed to the next layer. The activation function is decide what value we have to pass to the next layer neuron. It is actually reduce the complexity of the model. Otherwise, what will happen if you pass everything to everyone? It is very tough to get the actual outcome or the desired outcome. We'll see each and every step. Then what we have, so this whatever we got as the output of this O1, O2, O3, ON, all means suppose you are using the 100 of such filters. So all filters are going to be concatenated in a single row, and from all, again, as I said, all value is not going to be passed to the next layer. Something is going to be a skip. And now you have to decide on what basis you want to pick the value, or on what basis you want to skip the value. So Keras or deep learning model support 2 pooling operations. One is max pooling, one is average pooling. So max pooling says that if you see, I have directly taken the some function from the Keras itself. It says the one parameter is pool size. If you see here, it is a pool size. Pool size is nothing but you have a complete list of features. Among those features, what you want to means from what is the size of the window you want to kept. If you want to pool size equal to 2, then from each 2 value you have to pick the maximum one. If you are using the max pooling, if you are using the average pooling, then you have to take the first 2 value like 50 and 65. If you want to put the max pooling, then 65 is the output. If you want to use the average pooling, then 50 plus 65 divided by 2, this is the average pooling, and that output is going to be stored to the next window. In the given example, I have used max pooling with window size 5, means pool size is equal to 5. Now, with this, how it is work, see first 5 value they are going to check. Among those, whatever the maximum value, that is going to be passed to the next layer, and remaining all are going to be skipped. And similarly, we have to repeat until we not reach at the end. So if you have 40 value and you are using the slide window size is 5, then only 8 value is going to be passed to the next layer. Remaining all are going to be stopped at that layer only. So this is the work of pooling layer. Once you have the pooling layer, then it's nothing left. You have the fully connected layer at the end. I'll show the actual diagram. See this one. So once we have, if you see the last layer, output layer, and before that, it is a pulled fixture. In between, we have a fully connected dense layer. This is again user defined. How many neurons you want to keep in between the pulled features between the output layer. How many neurons, and whatever you keep, suppose 8 or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100, it is a fully collected neural network like this, whatever we have scenario here. So suppose input is what? Pulled feature. In this given example, suppose input is pulled features, and from here you keep the neurons like this architecture, then this is a fully connected layer like this. So after the pull feature, the normal neural network fully connected layer is present in our network. So in this way, the complete message is processed and complete message is passed to the fully connected. Now at the end we have some activation function that for example, one is softmax. The purpose softmax, what they are doing, they are just distributing the probability of input into the number of classes that is present at the output layer. So suppose we have number of classes is 5 in our data set. At the output layer we have the 5 classes. Then the input is going to be floated or projected into the 5 different classes with some probability value. And the class having the higher probability value is going to treated as the predicted class of that input sample. If you have any if the predicted class and the actual class having some error, again what you have to do, again repeat the process. Means the training of the model is going on till the user is not satisfied with the performance of the model. Means again, if the error is there, we have to repeat the process. And means how many times we have to repeat, again it's a user defined. It's up to you. If sometimes we have to be happy with the 50% accuracy, and sometimes we are not happy with the 90% accuracy even. That doesn't mean if the model is not producing 60 or 70, that doesn't mean you are keep increasing the training samples. Suppose someone is not able to give the correct answer in the classroom, that doesn't mean the subject is remain going on. We have to stop somewhere. By trying all aspects, whatever the accuracy we got, that is the final accuracy or final training of the model. And there we have to stop. So stopping criteria, again, we have to decide where we have to stop. Because sometimes we may have the first trial only, we'll get the 90% of accuracy or 85% of accuracy. Then by tuning or by modifying or by doing a few more things, we may have a few increment. That means it may be the 60% or 90% or 95%. But in some of the cases, our model is started with a 50% of accuracy. Means the first model that we developed that give only 50% of accuracy. Then we are said, what is this? It's not acceptable. Then we did something, and again we are checking the accuracy. And that time we have, suppose we have some accuracy like 60%. Then fine. But after that, whatever we are going to do is not increasing at all. That doesn't mean model have some issues. That maybe data have some issues. Data means the training samples, whatever we have, that may not be perfect for the training. That itself are confusing enough. It's the same thing like some concept are dealing with the classroom, but a student are not getting at all. That doesn't mean a student are not good. That means the problem or the subject is confusing. That's why students are probably not getting. The subject itself are confusing a lot. So if a human being is confused with by seeing the samples, how the model will train, how the system will understood that data, whatever the representation it is. But if you have clear data, means the data is clearly understandable, and we have this kind of representation, obviously we can expect a good result. We can expect a high accuracy. So this is the complete steps that we have that is present in our convolution operations. Then here is some snapshot that I have taken for the 2-class problem, how the parameters are calculated of the given network. So if you see the input layer we have, I'll show some parameters for this deep neural network using the bag of words embedding. In this case, the number of parameters what we have 30 lakhs, minimum 30 lakhs, and plus it is depend on the number of neurons that is present in the hidden layer. Suppose the same example you have for the convolution neural network, and same we have the 30,000 bag of words. In this case, we are going to reduce the number of parameters. One example is given there. What? So if you have the number of parameters, unique token is 8,000, and you are representing in this way. So the initial parameter is not going to be this 840700. How it will come, we'll explain during the hands-on session. This will give little bit more depth. But if you see here, total number of parameters is 12 lakh. The trainable parameter is restricted to 3,75,810. Means only 3 lakh parameter you have to train. Remaining parameter 840700 is no need to train, because it is a pre-train. We are using pre-train. So whatever the value that is present at the first embedding layer, whatever the parameters present at the first embedding layer, we no need to take care of at all. But in case of deep neural network, if you skip, it's a first layer parameter itself need a training, because it's a random weight initialized to the model from input to first layer of the neurons. So this 30 lakh neurons may be escaped from the training if you are using the pre-trained vector. And this is really huge relief, you can say, to your system, to your resources. It's a look like a big samples you no need to take care at all. It is already taken care previously. So you have the resources are already available. Why should I worried about this 30 lakhs? So this is the limitation of bag of words, and this is the advantage of the pre-trained use of the pre-trained embeddings. So we have something that we can use for our purpose. Now, so this is actually the screenshot that we again see during the lab session or during the hands-on session on the convolution neural network. So this is all about the different steps that is involved in the convolution process and the different way we can present the word. Now, to start the hands-on session, we have to use either Jupyter Notebook or you can use the Google Colab. So some screenshot is there that only I am showing to you how we can start. So if you have already the installed Anaconda with your system, then fine. If you don't have, if you install it, it is easy for us to do some practical during that time. Second, if you don't have, you just try to set up or try to use the Google Colab as well. That also a good cloud service that is providing all resources for the CNN, or you can say the all deep learning models implementation. So we can use the Google Colab as well. So here is something, some packages are we have to install before using any processing. We have to install the required packages. Then we have to read the data, that how the data look like. Then we have to reshape the data. Some things are there that deep learning model, especially if you're developing using the Keras, this have some restriction, means how to give the input to the model. That we have some restriction for that. We have to use the padding as well, means you have to equate the number of message in all the inputs. Then some encoding techniques, how the messages are encoded into the number format, and how this encoded as further pass through the embedding layer, and they are going to process the, this is the embedding you have to use the pre-trained embedding, that is name is Globe. If you have the time, I request everyone, I'm just showing this website, you have to download this Globe embedding, because you are going to use this one in during the hands-on session. Name is Globe. Just search on the net, and give me a second, I'll share also. You have to download this one. So if you have already downloaded, then fine. If you don't have, please download the file that is listed here. One of the file you have to download. See this one. Is it visible to all of you? Global vector for water representation. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you. So please download. See, here many files are there. As I said, the word are represented using the vector format. Using this, if you see the first one, that is Globe 6B zip. If you see their description, this is developed with the Wikipedia text, and that have 6 billion tokens. 6 billion different words are there. And their number of tokens are 6 billion, but vocab size is 400K. It's a 4 lakh tokens are there. So and different dimensions we have. The representation of the words into 50 dimension, 100 dimension, 200 dimension, and 300 dimensions. So you have to decide. Suppose if you are dealing with a small message, means like the SMS, then you can use 100 or 50. That is enough. A word can be represented 50 or 100. But if you are using a sentence or like the movie reviews, then maybe the 50 or 100 is not sufficient. You may have to use 200 or 300. So different embeddings are already available. I request, it's a 822 MB size is there. So if you download, it is easy to get more insight during the hands-on session, because we are going to use this embedding for our model development. Second one is, if you see the second one, so common chronology it is not from the Wikipedia text, but last one, if you see the last one, this is especially developed for the Twitter research. If you want to develop any model for the Twitter data, it may be more suited. You can use this one and see the dimension here. It started from 25. It started from 25 and going to up to 200D, because they know for the Twitter we don't have too much words. There is some restriction that a message cannot be posted more than 280 characters. Earlier, I think it was 144 or something like that. Nowadays, 280 characters. So you cannot post a message which more than that character, not word. So respectively, they have created a many dimension size. So 25, 50, 100, and 200. So either this one, so based on your suitability, whether you want to download a 22 MB or you want to use this 1.42 GB, whatever the possible, I request this one, the first one, because I'm going to use this one, 822 MB size. Among this 100 MB, 100 dimensions. This is the universal one and the most suitable one, neither more, neither less. So 100 dimension file we are going to use during the hands-on sessions. Just go through, download this one. And what is the benefit of this one? You see how this the vector are presented for the each word. If you see this particular image, the first one, the man, sir, king, all are lying on the same row. You can say same row, almost same row. Whereas omen, queen having the different. The another thing is this new window is visible? Only image?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Okay. Now see this. If you see the brother, uncle, nephew, sister, aunt, and niece, all are correlated, or you can say this is a look like the family, right? Look like the family or relationship, some relationship, uncle, brother, nephew, sisters, all are fall under the same region. but some male and female, they are maintained properly. So brother, uncle, nephew having the, you can see almost similar plane, whereas a sister, aunt and niece, they are maintaining properly. Similarly, if you see man, sir and king, omen and madam. If sir is there, difference between man and omen and sir and madam almost same. If you see the differences, whatever the value, difference between the man and omen and sir and madam is almost same. If you differentiate these two values, you are getting the almost similar value, 0, 0, 0, like this. Similarly, you see here, king and queen is there, then man and omen. So omen and queen, if you see, it's lie on the same line, almost similar line. So king minus man, and something is there, means this is a so perfect representation of the word that each and every word get represented in the perfect way. And that's why it is so popular and useful in many text related tasks. If you're doing any research with the text and you need to represent the text into the vector format, it's a pre-trained embedding. In general, it's giving the promising result. Until unless data is not so special. If the data is confusing enough, probably this is also not going to be work. So we'll see a few examples with this globe embedding and without globe embedding also during the hands-on session. So I request, if you have the net connectivity proper, you can download this zip file and keep in a folder. We'll share some materials for the hands-on session once we start the hands-on session at that time. So just a minute, what we have next. Okay, so after this, once the embedding we have, then same how this convolution filters we have to select, then how this is going to be convolve over the input matrix and how they are going to produce the features. Each and every steps we'll see and we'll develop the similar model during the hands-on session. And this is a model architecture, whatever I've shown just previously, the number of parameters, the number of weights, number of trainable parameter. There is some parameters no need to train at all. Everything you mentioned here. Then we have to, again, same process. We have to split the data into the training and validation set. Some data is used going to be training purpose and some part of data is used for the testing. Then this is the progress. It's number of epochs, means number of times the training sample is going to pass to the model to train themselves. Finally, we have to plot what accuracy we are getting. So some samples, some hands-on session, and the complete model will look like this. We'll see during the hands-on session. Then Google Colab is needed, little bit, some setting is needed that we have to do. If you have the time before the hands-on session, you can do it. Else, we'll suggest how to set up the Google Colab and how to start the experiment with the help of Google Colab. So obviously, we have to store our data. First of all, you have to log in your Gmail account. Then you have to open your Google Drive. In Drive, you have to create one folder and put all the required resources. Like I said, the embedding, at least one embedding must be there. Then, if any other file, like the data file is needed to process or to develop the model, that also we have to keep in our folder. And then we can start. And then we can start the experiment with the help of Google Colab as well. So we'll show with using both the Jupyter Notebook as well as Google Colab techniques during the hands-on session. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions on this,
So can you give some this hands-on session regarding images and videos as well?
No, in this session we'll only cover the text part. Actually, it's tough to cover. The time constraint is there, and we cannot continue with the multiple things at the same time. So we'll finish the text first, and if your time is permit, we'll think about the images as well.
Okay.
So, if from your side, if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, as I requested, please download the materials, at least the one embedding, and keep in your local folders, and we'll see. And we'll use the same things during the hands-on session.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a nice presentation and explaining each and everything from the scratch, that how exactly first we represent our input in the one hot vector or TF IDF vector, But the problem with those, as you said, that it is very high dimensional. So handling that is very difficult. So you told that we should convert that into some of the embedded form, intermediate form, using some embedding, what you are going to use like Globe and all in your hands-on session. And then how the, convolution process happens, then how the, after that, I think pooling process happens, and finally how we do the classification. So it's a complete detailed explanation what you have presented before us. So thank you so much for that one. And as I would like to tell that they are going from last 2 days or last 2 sessions, I guess, through the Google Colab. So they are, I think, little bit now aware about the Google Colab, how to set up the things, how to connect the things. So if you can start with the Google Colab itself, so that would be fine. That would be
Okay, that's fine for me. Even.
So that's the information. So now, if participant, I'd like the participant, if you have any question, then please ask the question if you have any. There were some questions. Participants, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question if you have any.
Partha, you're asking the research directions. So many research directions, as I said, spam detections. A few things I have to say, like there are many things ongoing. Like the question answering, one of the common research that is ongoing. If you are comfortable with Stack Overflow and Stack Exchange, people are posting the questions and they're getting the answers. But what about the question that is remain unanswered? What are the reasons behind questions are remain unanswered? So still lots of research are needed in order to identify the reason behind why our questions remain unanswered, even though it is posted on such a nice platform like the Stack Overflow, where some of the questions receive hundreds of answers. Partha, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I'm Devisha Tiwari, sir.
Madam.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir, what is one-hot encoding, sir?
See, one-hot encoding is nothing but, see, you have to present our text into some format, first of all. We cannot proceed with the text. Like it's a sequence of words, a message is a sequence of words, word 1, word 2, word 3, and so on. We have some words in our message. Then, with this message, we have to perform, means we have to represent into some vector format or some number format. To represent a word into the number format, you can say it is a
one-hot encoding.
No. So number of ways we can represent. One way is one-hot encoding.
Okay.
As I already shown to during the PPT presentation, that if you want to present a message into the one-hot encoding format, means nothing is simply suppose a spam and non-spam. Only two things are there, and you want to present these two messages into one-hot encoding format, right?
Okay. Yes.
So in your complete vocabulary, only two words are there: spam and non-spam. Nothing else, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you encounter a spam, you replace this one-hot represent using 1 and 0.
1 and 0. Yeah,
okay. Whenever you encounter non-spam, represent 0 and 1.
Okay.
So this is the only two words, and you are representing a particular word into one hot vector. That is, if it is a spam, it is 1 0. If it is a non-spam, it is 0 1. Because your data set contain your column number of columns is only 2. Because only two words in the complete message, right? Spam and non-spam.
Non-spam.
Then first message you encounter that it contains single word, only spam. So this is represented using 1, because in place of 1 is a 1, and in place of non-spam it is a 0. Because single word is there. Because next time suppose you receive a message having two words, spam and non-spam, then their representation is 1 1.
Okay. Sir, also there was a term called grams. 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 grams. So grams means word.
It's
one vector, two vector,
consecutive words. Consecutive words. So suppose
consecutive words. Like suppose we are talking 4 grams.
Yes. So 4 consecutive words is going to be taken care at a time.
Okay. 4 consecutive.
And it is going to be slide next with 1. So suppose a message having 5 words, then number of 4 gram features is there 2.
Okay.
So it is first 4 words, and then again it is going to slide next 4 words that is taken as again that one is the feature. So 4 gram, 4 gram. It is not going to be skip complete 4 gram. It's a complete 4 words. Instead, it is only skipping a single word, and then next 4 is going to be considered.
Okay, 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 sir.
The same thing is repeated 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram. So we have to capture as much as possible the context of the message. So we have to use this n-gram features.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so one more question, I guess. Vijay Shri Khedkar, can you tell difference between it and bag of what is the
TF,
code?
IDF, and bag of word. I think she's want to ask or what?
It's not clear, ma'am. So could you please write it again? That what exactly you want to ask? What is the difference between bag of words and what? That is not clear here. One more participant had raised V. Subba Ramaya. So I guess V. Subba Ramaya, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Between and okay, one hot encoding and bag of word. What is the difference? What the thing Vijay Sri Khedkar is asking?
Okay, okay. See, bag of word is actually used. Bag of word, you have to nothing but it's a vocabulary, or you can say it's a collection of unique words. It is not one hot encoding. It is used to represent the word into different form. Either it's a one hot encoding, or it is a TF-IDF format, or any other representation. So bag of word is used. It's a primary resource, you can say, for the representation of the text.
Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, Vijay Sri Khedkar. Is it clear? If it is not, then you can ask if you have any other further question. Can you tell the difference between one hot encoding and bag of words? Okay, thank you. Fine, I guess he is now convinced with the answer.
So we'll see again. Okay, okay. Thank you. She is written. But if you have a still doubt, we'll see clear. Bag of words is nothing. The unique words on your complete message. A complete database having suppose 1,000 of messages. In 1,000 of messages, how many unique words are there? That is called bag of words. Now you have to represent each message into some format. So there is a complete vocabulary size. This is a bag of word. Bag of it's a bag. It's a bag. It's a complete word that is put into the bag. You can say bin. So it's a complete bag of words. The size of vocabulary. You got it. Then you have to represent in some representation. One hot encoding in one way you can represent your message, but we need that bag of words for that.
Okay, another question from Ashwini PP. Can you please suggest which algorithm is better for strain analysis of materials using images?
No, right now we cannot talk anything about the images. We are limited to text, but we'll see during the hands-on session. If anything, we'll see that part also.
Okay, sir. Okay, if time will permit, definitely, sir will explain about
Otherwise, it's too confusing. What is the going on image? What is image? What is text? So we'll see in the hands-on session if time permits.
Okay. Hopefully that's all. So if you have further question, again, sir will connect in the afternoon session for the hands-on. So we'll have more discussion on what exactly we built the model and how to do the classification on the SMS SPAN dataset. Thank you so much, sir, for giving such a nice presentation, clear picture of CNN, and then we'll again connect in the afternoon. Right, till then, thank you so much, and we'll connect again. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Well, so we had, I guess, it's a really good and informative session to understand how exactly the CNN network works. Right, then what are the phases we have in the CNN? How to represent the input? That is very important in any, any neural network. Yesterday also, when I guess Dr. Aditya Nigam from IIT Mandi was talking, so he stressed that that how we are representing the text, right? That is very important, such that we can preserve the context. Okay, yesterday I was talking about the context more. Now also, in the case of CNN also, it is very important again, how we are representing the text. So suppose if we will represent the text only in the form of one hot vector, what happens? Suppose your No, I'm just speaking for 2 minutes, right? So that is also my research area. So I know a little bit about the CNN, that if you are representing the text in one hot vector, and one hot vector dimension is very long, say 10,000 dimensional vector. In 10,000 dimensional vector, you just have one value 1 and all other value zeros, isn't it? That's what the one hot vector is. Now just imagine with that vector, what the model will learn, because we are not providing any value. We are providing all zeros except 1, 1. And that is why it is required to convert that high dimensional sparse vector into some lower dimensional dense values. And that's where the embedding or globe embedding come into the picture. And that we'll see how to do the globe embedding such that we can make learning better. Right? And that we'll try to understand that thing in the hands-on session. Okay, so we'll take here 15 minutes break, and again 11:30 we will connect. In fact, 5 minutes before. Most of you, please be connected, just have a tea and come back. We'll start our session at 11:30, and I'll be providing you all the recorded session, the link. Someone was asking again the YouTube link, so I'll be sharing here. So please be connected. We'll be back in after 10 minutes. So slides, Vijayashri ma'am. So I will ask the consent. So that is very important, right? So we'll ask the consent from our speaker. If he would be ready, then definitely I'll share the slide. Okay. If it will come to me, I'm going to share it with you. That is for sure. Okay. Right. So we'll meet again after 10 minutes, and then we'll start our second session. Thank you so much for your support, and be connected. We'll be back. Thank you.